Now, there are even more things you can do to fight against denial of service. Let's take a look. You could, of course, make sure that your software and your protocols are up to date so that you have fewer zombies around and fewer handlers around. Make sure that you're scanning machines to look for anomalous behavior. Of course, disable all insecure or unused services so that you don't get infected to begin with. Block inbound packets that originate from service ports, which will block traffic from reflective servers. Ensure that every operating system kernel is patched and up to date. Don't allow transmission packets that are addressed fraudulently at the ISP level. Use cognitive radios. That's radios that can hop around between available channels to sort of spread around across the radio spectrum. Use those in the physical layer to prevent jamming and scrambling attacks. That's, of course, for Wi-Fi. Ensure that the firewall is configured to deny access from external ICMP. Ensure that any remote admin or connectivity testing is secure. Ensure that input validation is performed. Don't allow any data that was processed by the attacker to be executed. Ensure prevention of unnecessary functions and ensure prevention of return address overriding. That's for buffer overflows. Some techniques to defend against botnets. So here's an RFC, that's a request for comment on the internet. Strict reverse path forwarding. This basically is for internet ISPs. It's basically a simple way to implement an ingress filter. It is conceptually identical to using an access list, except that the access list is dynamic and it denies traffic with spoofed addresses. And it ensures that traffic is traceable to its correct source. If you work for an ISP, you should be looking this up right here. Request for comment 3704 filtering. Another thing ISPs need to do is real-time black hole. It's RTBL, RTBH. It's basically within the cloud, they have a setup where the administrator just has to basically push a button, which will quickly tell all routers within the ISP, if they see a particular kind of traffic, to immediately send it to what we call null zero. In other words, drop it. So what will happen is the ISP has all these routers inside their network. One of their customers ends up being a target. In comes all this traffic. Now, ordinarily, the ISP would ordinarily route the traffic to the customer. Instead, what they'll do is they'll basically push a button. It's just like one command in Cisco, where they are propagating from another machine, telling all the routers, hey, if you see traffic destined for this, just black hole it right there. No matter where you are in the cloud, just send it to null zero, meaning throw it in the trash. And you do that until this attack stops. Now, of course, your client won't be able to get anything, but hey, they would have been knocked off the network anyway. So at least what you're doing is protecting your cloud from all this garbage going through the cloud. So you're telling all routers at any point, just drop it. So that's a real-time black holing. So if the ISP is going to do real-time black holes, they're going to block all requests during the DDoS attack. It, of course, does deny legitimate traffic, but you would have been knocked off the network anyway. It protects the ISP's cloud, which will in turn protect all of their other customers. And when you have an attack, it's all going to be basically redirected, actually redirected to null zero, where it is filtered and actually dropped, not even returned. And there are also cloud-based solutions like Cloudflare and NetScout. Those are the ones I was telling you about, where their servers look like your servers and all internet traffic goes to them. They filter it all out before sending it actually to you. And your server usually has a VPN to their cloud. There are a ton of tools that you can use. You can get cloud-based services. You can buy your own. FortiGuard, Defense Pro, NetFlow Analyzer, Encapsula, FortiDDoS, a bunch of these are DoS, DDoS protection tools. And there are even whole appliances, Cisco Guard, Forta DDoS 300, Arbor Prevail. There are a bunch of tools here that you can use. But honestly, when you're doing denial of service and you're defending against that, actually, you want to involve your ISP. You don't want the denial of service coming down and using your pipe, and then you're filtering it down here. You really want to try to filter it much higher so it doesn't even come to your pipe.